Hey YouTubers, this is Paul Lentz back, making another video on, on a variety of different like dating, relationships, the high value man, single moms, you know, that's just been like the rage all over YouTube. And of course, you got these red pill guys that have their takes, when it comes to what's the problem and their solution. And I've been reading the comments on my videos, but I've been getting some interesting private messages in my Facebook account from people who I guess they didn't want to leave a message, post a message, a comment, but they wanted to like message me. I would say, hey man, I saw your comment on YouTube or your video on YouTube, and I wanted to, maybe give me some advice or their takes. And one of them was, it's like I talk about a variety of different things. Like they like what I had to say, but I kind of need to narrow my talking points, like per video. Like talking about like 2-3 different things, and elaborate whatever. But then make other videos on other topics. And I thought about it, and that makes sense. And another one is like the videos are like 90 minutes long. That I could kind of shorten them a little bit. And I can take it advice. I can take constructive criticism, and I'm going to try to do that with this video. So I kind of like what I did this time was I kind of like wrote down on a piece of paper like some a few talking points, which I kind of like have always been against, because I felt like if something was important to you, you want to talk about it, you just remember it and you just talk about it. And like reading from a script, I always felt like kind of phony. But in the interest of trying to try this out, I just figured if I look now, I got like maybe about 5 different little notes here on like 3 different topics, and that's what I'm doing, because I can be a little long-winded, as you guys know. But I will say this, kind of like a little background. You guys think I'm long-winded? My fucking mom, if she was in my presence right now, I couldn't get a word in. Now, just imagine how long-winded and dominant she would have to be when it comes to having a conversation for a motherfucker like me to not be able to get a fucking word in. I mean, that's just, imagine me on steroids when it came to like yakking, talking, dominating a conversation, not letting a motherfucker get a word in. Okay? And so I kind of inherited that. Because like, if I ever want to get a word in, obviously, I had to kind of like learn how to get in, with what I wanted to say. My grandfather told me years ago that I didn't speak till I was 3 years old. Possibly because I guess my mom would never let me get a word in, and I always pointed when I wanted something, and he was like, "Nope, he ain't getting shit until he start talking." And so I tell people that I've been making up for lost time since. That's like 49 years ago, so do the math. So anyway, and I touched on this in my last video, and I've watched some more of his videos since in the last couple of nights on YouTube, because like his name is Kevin Samuels, a very classy, polished black man who was an image consultant until he passed away suddenly a couple years ago. And this guy just really, really knows how to be direct, brutally honest. And a lot of people, and I'm a pretty liberal guy, when it comes to my political beliefs. But one of the issues I have with people on the left and Democrats is I'm all for women's rights, for women to have right to an education, opportunities, fair treatment. But at the same time, there's there's differences between men and women as far as like, obviously our strength, interest, how we see things. Men tend to be more, pragmatic. We think in terms of probability, whereas, women are emotional. They like to live in the land of possibility. But now, are these absolute terms? No, of course not. I never take the absolute term. But when you live in life and make decisions, when you encounter people, situation, whatever, you have to have a sense of like what's probable. And like the poker player in me, when you make decisions on what hands you play and like when you go to bet and how much and your strategy, you have to know the math. Okay, sure. If you chase an inside straight, can you hit your card? Sure. But there's only 4 of your inside straight cards out there. Like if you got like a 6, 7, you got 6, 7 in your hand, and on the board is 8, 10, 8, 10 deuce, then you need a 9 for a straight. So it means there's only 4 9s out there out of 1, 2 in your hand and 4 on the board. That's 6 cards. All right, you know what 6 cards are. Okay, that means there's 46 cards, or excuse me, 46 cards left. There's 52 cards, 46, 6 out. 4 out of 46. All right, that's 1 out of 11 chance. That's less than a 10% chance. You got like an 8% chance to hit your card. No, 7% chance. A 7% chance to hit your hand. What that means is you could chase the river, get that one more card 100 times. You'll hit it 7 times out of 100. And from a math standpoint, you're going to bleed money if you chase the possibility instead of the probability. And that's what life is, making decisions on who you date, friends, jobs, whatever. What lane to drive in, when you're driving, or, like when you go to the grocery store, you look at people's grocery carts and, do I want to get behind this person, check out line? Because time is valuable. But anyway, point I'm trying to make is there's differences between us. And men, we have to be practical in our decisions. Whereas women tend to be more emotional. When I used to hear about arranged marriages, I was like, man, that's fucked up, man. Parent telling a woman that, she got married to some guy that they think that will be good for her, and, just because he kind of looks good on paper, but he may be boring or whatever, or, maybe he's an abusive asshole. And it's like, damn. But the more that I've come to understand as I've gotten older, like, why do women make the decisions they make when it comes to the type of guys that they get involved with? I'm beginning to warm up to the idea that, maybe arranged marriages ain't such a bad thing. Because not only when it comes to who they marry, but when it comes to divorce, women make decisions based on their fucking emotions. And that's not always healthy. That's not always what's good for the family. And in the long run, it's not always what's good for the woman. Because, a lot of the decisions these women make when they're 60, are they really happy with how their life has gone? Are they really happy that a lot of them are divorced and, alone? And of course, a lot of men end up alone, okay? Divorced because, with no fault divorce, a guy can't just force somebody to stay married, and when I talk about these, I'm just assuming the guy's not an abusive asshole, or deadbeat, who just wants to stay at home and play video games all day, not do anything for the family. I'm not talking about those guys. Those guys don't deserve to stay married. Those guys don't deserve anything. who just don't want to work with somebody, who's like just have a Neanderthal type view of women. I'm not talking about those guys because, when a man talks like, like has discussions like this, the first thing a woman goes is, I don't want to wear a broke, ugly loser. And it's like, why do women always got to take shit to the fucking extreme? I mean, I've watched a number of these videos with Kevin Samuels where he's had like, and a lot of them were, it's mostly black women. And so I'll make a reference to like whether it's black men or black women because, but his stuff can apply to any race of female or any race of guys out there, the stuff that he has. Because, we may look a little different, sound a little different, dance a little different, have maybe a few different interests. But the bottom line is, just like women are pretty much the same when it comes to what they want from a guy, okay, what they expect from a fucking guy, and especially what they think a guy should want, okay? Most guys are pretty much similar. We're the same either, okay? We pretty much want the same things and, no drama. Peace, good sex, some good food. It's actually not that hard to please the average guy. I don't care what race you are. Okay? But when it comes to women, extremely difficult. No matter their race. All right? And, so a lot of what Kevin Samuels, like, when he talks to black women, basically talking to white women too. Okay? And because these numbers I'm getting ready to bring up, like the black community always gets a lot of problems for like the stats when it comes to single parenthood, lack of marriage, blah, blah, blah. Okay? But let me tell you something. The white community and white women, when it comes to the attitudes, that gap is narrowing. And it is narrowing fast. And within the next couple of years, it's going to be the same regardless of whether you're a black woman, black male, black, white woman. If not, it may even pass what's going on in the black community when it comes to the dysfunction of dating, marriage, or whatever, the single parents in the white community. It's going to, it's just mind-boggling how, but not surprisingly, how the number gap is narrowing. Less and less white people get married, and that shit is fucking exploding. The numbers, single moms, divorce, more and more white men don't want to get married. I mean, it's just incredible. So, but Kevin Samuels didn't have too many white people on his show, so it's like, I'll just use, like, in other words, like black women as an example because he has black women on his show. But his thing was he wanted to, when he started, he wanted to help the black community. So the first few years he did his, podcast, it was all black callers, black men calling. He didn't start taking female callers till later. But he, these black guys would come on there, some more professionals, some of them were, regular guys, some were losers. But especially the guys that would call in who didn't have shit going for themselves. He goes, "Yo, Kevin, how's it doing? Thanks for having me on your show." And Kevin would go, "What do you want?" He goes, "I'm doing my thing, trying to get by. What I got to do to get a bad bitch? Or a quality female, the ones who didn't want to go there." And so he asked him, "How old are you? How far is your education? How high your education go? What kind of work? How's your credit? And do you have any kids? And, do you own, rent, whatever?" And a lot of these guys that live with their parents or had roommates or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Either, had some bullshit job, dropped out of college, whatever. And as soon as he hear this shit, he's like, "You're never going to get a bad bitch the way you are right now. You got nothing to offer her. You got no money. You don't have your own home. If you drive a car, you're driving a piece of shit car. I mean, you're gonna take a what? You're gonna take public transportation to take your date out. So this is what he tells the guy. He goes, no. First of all, you don't need to be dating, period. You need to get your shit together. You need to build yourself up. And I watched a number of these videos, over the last few weeks, over the last month or so. And these guys were like receptive to it. I didn't hear hardly any bad talk, any like, motherfucker, you don't know what you're talking about. Fuck you. I didn't hear any of that. I heard like men who were starved for like, you know what, I need some advice on what I need to do. Now, do these guys like being told that shit? Hell no. No motherfucker likes being told that he's a fucking loser right now and that he needs to get off his fucking ass and build himself up. And just don't even dating should be the last thing on your motherfucking mind. And that no woman wants you. That you have no value to her. But that's what these motherfuckers needed to hear. They needed to hear that shit. Okay? And so, like, I came across a video where he was reading, like, these emails. Even did, like, some FaceTiming with some guys that had been, like, he'd been on his show. And, like 18 months, 2 years down the line, guys are like, hey, man, thanks, bro. Things are like night and day for me right now. I went back to school. I got some training. I went to my employer, said, what do I need to do to move up, advance? I started saving my money. I got my expenses in order, my finances. And man, like all of a sudden, it's like these guys are like, women are attracted to them. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But I will say this. I think most of these guys that were like that were basically like Chads that didn't have any motivation to advance in life. They were just like kind of like women who are like gorgeous and all they do is just rely on their looks to go from one guy to another. Maybe he has some money or whatever. But a lot of these Chads, that were, had been, used as like sex appeal, because they know these women are into them. Bad boys, the Chads that, just, or I guess you call them Tyrones because they're black. That's like a black sounding name. But I'll just say Chad because it's just, I'm a white guy. It's just easier for me to remember that. If I say Chad, Tyrone, Julio, like hit all the checkpoints for all their fucking races, I'll be all day fucking long trying to like get all that in. So when I say Chad, I mean like every race of guy. So anyway, these guys, they lack the motivation for whatever reason to kind of like get their shit together financially, economically, whatever. And so, because if you're like an ugly guy, a regular guy, plain guy, or some boring guy that doesn't have much humor, it's kind of tough to build those guys up into a Chad with a bag that can get a baddie when it comes to a fine-ass female. Because I seen, these guys, they weren't ugly, pretty decent looking. They went to the gym, another thing, working out. Because nobody has a problem telling a man to get off his fat fucking ass and start working out. Nobody tells you, a guy goes, hey, man, like, I deserve a bad bitch, man. So, I stay at home, I play video games, I eat Cheetos all day long, I deserve a bad bitch. You know what? I think Margot Robbie should, like, want to go out with me. I'm a good guy. She should get to know me. She shouldn't, it shouldn't matter how fat I am, how unhealthy I am, how broke I am. It's the inside that counts, right, honey? Yeah. No. No decent looking female who respects herself is going to want to go out and spend any kind of time with some broke ass, fat ass, guy who don't have anything going for him. And that's what these motherfuckers needed to hear. And I know he meant well. He really wanted to try to help these guys out. And then after a few years passed, he started taking on, he's like, well, I need to help black women out. Because a lot of black women, according to him, was like, man, it's just they're struggling, they keep making bad decisions. And these numbers that he was putting out was just incredible, which I'll get to in a little bit. So when he would try to, he started taking these black female callers on his show. And man, did the tone fucking change. I mean, they would ask, like, he would ask these guys, like certain stats. He'd ask him, how old are you? What's your dress size? How much you weigh? How many kids you got? And let me tell you something. They were hesitant to even answer the questions. And he would sit there and go, because they would go, what I got to do to be a high value guy to get one to want to wife me up. And he'd hear, and these women are like, most of them 30s, early 40s, aged, overweight, fat, and, just had dated the wrong guys, got kids by multiple different daddies, and it's like, no chance. You get no chance to be a high value guy. No high value man would ever want to wife you up. You at best, he may fuck you. He may, run and, smash and dash you, pump and dump you, but he ain't gonna wife you up. And there's nothing you could do to change that. You need to kind of be realistic in your preferences. And of course, fuck that. I ain't gonna fucking settle for them broke ass, ugly ass motherfucker. And it comes combative from then on. Men are losers. These fuckers ain't gonna, take advantage of you. They want shit. They ain't shit. Motherfuckers ain't jack shit. But it's like they want a high value man. And so he would ask them what they bring to the table. Me, I'm going to build them up. I'm like, and he would be like, when you going to build up somebody that's already built up? What can you do for him? What does he need you for? And they always deflect, and it's like, not just, these women have to be black women, but I've seen a lot of other podcasts, white women today are the same fucking way. I mean, you think black women are delusional, and like these, you talk about what they want. You hear like, a guy that makes 100, 200, maybe 300,000. These fucking white women, like the more educated, the higher status they think they are, they want a guy that's making fucking bank. $500 million, multi-million-dollar guy. I mean, just on steroids compared to what the average black woman wants. Is willing to, unbelievable. But that's we're not talking about them right now. We're talking about Kevin Samuels and his guests. And so, and everything was, he would always say, well, you ever thought about, the problems with you that you pick wrong? I said, well, I never did anything bad, these guys. But they just don't want to commit. And they just refuse to take accountability for their decisions. They think they're justified in picking the guys that they had allowed themselves to be impregnated, ran through by, abandoned, deadbeated by, and that, that the guy of their dreams is just out there. They just like, well, what I got to do to put myself in his presence so he'll notice me? And it's like, those guys don't want you. They don't. He's an image consultant. He's been around. He knows what these motherfuckers want, and he tells them. And so he's trying to counsel them, like, you know what? Lower your preferences a little bit, because they all say, I got standards. I got high standards. And he's like, well, where were your standards when you were letting your baby daddy just knock you up and just, play you, run through you? And it's like, they just think that, they deserve a man to come play Captain Save-A-Ho. And they all think that their kids are like, oh, my kids are great, they're assets. No. You know what he said? He said, no, your kids may be an asset to you, but to him, to any man, they're a liability. Obviously not to the kid's father. I'm talking about to a guy who has no kids and they encounter these guys, whether a high value man or a fucking self, that most women end up having to settle for it. Because for most of civilization, most women have had to marry non-chads, especially non-chads with bags, with a non-chad without a bag, which most men are. Most men ain't chad, and most men don't have a fucking bag. Now, does that mean that most men are butt ugly with no money? No. And that's what Kevin Samuels will try to tell these women. Like, there's plenty of good guys out there that, some make okay money, some make a little more, a little less, but, there's guys out there. He said that, this is stats he broke down. He said that 54% of black men are single black men with no kids. 30% are black men who are married, okay, with kids. 16% of black men are single fathers. And here's the other stat. 25% of black women are married. And 84% of black kids are born to single moms. Now, there's two interesting stats with that. One is, if 25% of black women are married, but 30% of black men are married, that means that, what is it? Wait a second. It should be equal. No. But that means that more black men are married outside their race in bigger numbers than black women. If 30% of black men are married and only 25% of black women are married, that means that, because, okay, let's say that you do the math here, right? That means that, let's say there's always more women than men, but let's say it's like 9 to 10. Like, there's 10 million black women and there's 9 million black men. Okay, so 25% of 10 million is 2.5 million. But 30% of 9 million, which is 9 million black men, is 2.7 million. Okay? That means there's a difference of 2.7 million black men that are married versus 2.5 million black women. So that means that's a difference of 200,000 black men. That means there's 200,000 black men that are at least married outside their race. Now, of course, of the 2.5 million that's left, if you take the 200,000, that's the difference, then, of course, there's some of the 2.5 million, some of those guys are also married outside their race. And, of course, the 2.5 million black women are left, there's some of those married outside their race. But more black men, are married outside their race than there are black women married outside their race. Because you got that 200,000, that's a big fucking gap. That's what that's saying. And so, that's just, and another number is, of the kids who are born in the black community, there's 30% of black men are married to black women that have kids. Only 16% of all black kids are born to a black couple, whereas 84% of black kids are born to single black women. And the fathers of the 84%, only 16%. Okay, 84%. The 84% are fathered by only 16% of men. And what that's saying is, on average, single black women are having more kids, like on average, than the average married black couple. And that can make sense because, when you're married, you have children based on, like, okay, you have a budget, okay? Whereas if you're single and you start just having a bunch of kids, you can rely on the government to bail you out. And I'm not saying that all these black women who are single don't have jobs. I'm just saying is that there are some single women out there that just have a gang of kids by different baby fathers. And whereas in a black couple, the husband's the father. And your average couple, I don't care what race they are, a lot of times they'll base the decision on having a children based on the economics. Both couples got to work. The husband's only making so much. And so, but 30% of couples are only responsible for 16% of the children in the black community, whereas 16% of black men are responsible for 84% of the kids. And that 16%, they're all single. They're not married. Not married to anybody. They're just single men. But like you got 54% of black men are single with no kids. That means more than half of black men are not fathers. And yet 16% are responsible for 84%. That means for every one kid that's born in a family, there's 6 kids born to, there's 5 other kids born to a single mom. 1 out of every 6 kids are born to a 2-parent household in the black community. And that's mind-boggling. And what's that saying is that, a lot of black women are just making bad decisions on who they fucking hook up with. And white women are doing the same fucking thing. And I haven't had a chance to really look at the stats. I've seen some things. And I think for understand, it's almost 50% of white kids born to single parent homes. And the latest thing I was able to look at was like pre-pandemic. I have to do some more searching to get the specific numbers in the white community, but it is increasing from what I saw like pre-pandemic. And it's only going to accelerate because like with Gen Z, like the younger crowd, more and more white guys just have no interest in dating. And these younger white women are all going after older, successful guys. The Chads with bags. And a lot of these guys, who become, like I touched on in the last video, when they become a Chad with a bag, they were Chad. But unlike the Chads that weren't motivated or weren't trying to get their shit together, a lot of these Chads were busting their ass, putting in the time and effort to build themselves up. So they weren't playing. They weren't like fucking around. They weren't like, playing the field. But when they became that guy, mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, they got a roster of females that they want to fucking soda roast with. But a lot of these young white women, they think, I'm going to have fun. They don't want, even if they cross a Chad with a bag, all they want to do is have sex. They want to travel. They want to have fun. But the problem with a lot of these white women now is they're waiting later in life. They're choosing to wait later in life to get married. And when you hit in your 30s, you're not going to, they think that, all right, I deserve to settle down. Like Sheryl Sandberg, that fucking bitch gave the worst fucking advice a woman can ever give other women. Now, there's nothing wrong with having fun. If you choose to want to have fun in your 20s and travel and, meet rich guys or have sex with Chads, I got no problem with that. I'm not going to complain or bitch or whatever or judge. But if you do that, you have to understand that you're sacrificing any opportunity that you're going to have to marry a Chad with a bag, because when you get in your 30s, you're not youthful anymore. Your clock is fucking ticking. You're closer to that fucking wall. The years that you're going to have sex appeal is less and less. Those years are shrinking. Like it or not, fair and unfair, a man's sex appeal, if he's sexy, if he's a 4.5 guy, will last far longer than any woman who's a fucking 10. Okay? Her shelf life, I don't care how good she thinks like what steps she takes. Men are they can see past the fucking makeup, the hair extensions, the eyelashes, the Botox, the surgery, the push-up bras, the padded asses. They can see past all of that. you know, and it's like a lot of these white women today are just, you know, they want career, they want to have fun and career, you know, and they think you can have the world need it. You can't. If men took that attitude when they were in their 20s, a lot of shit, we would not be nearly as long as civilization as we are. But the thing that motivates these men who are Chads, who are aiming to become a Chad with a bag, is because they want to exercise their right to be picky when it's time to get married and have a family. That means they're their fucking prize, not you ladies out there. And like I said, I know y'all think you're fucking tens, that you're fucking queens, boss babes, whatever you want to describe yourself, that you shouldn't settle, that you don't really need to do anything to appeal to a man sexually, especially these fat chicks. F-A-T, not P-H-A-T, F-A-T. And you watch Kevin Samuels, and man, like every one of these black females are fucking heifers. He'd ask them how they weigh. It's like, you know, he'd ask them, you know what the average guy is? The average guy is 5'9". He weighs 170 pounds. And he asks them what they weigh, and they're like 180, 190, 2 something. It's like, ma'am, you're bigger than the average man. And you expect a high value man to wife you up? You really think that guy did everything he could to become that guy, to settle for you? Just to settle for your kids by another motherfucker? Why would he do that when he can meet a younger, fertile, lower body count, fitter female with no kids and start his own legacy, his own family with? And now, of course, the comeback is, what, you see, I don't deserve anybody? No, that's not what he said. He's saying, live in reality, not fantasy land. Live in the land of probability, not possibility. And lower your preferences. Because let me tell you something, and I touched on this about the difference between standards and preferences. And I know a lot of women they don't want to get it. They just think standards is all lumped together. But when you go on these dating profiles, they all have these filters, right? And you know what they say when it comes to whatever? You click your preferences. That's what it says. When it comes to how tall guy weighs, you know, his eye color, how much money, his income bracket. They're called preferences on there. Look it up. Go on these dating sites and fill out the preferences of what these guys, you know, their stats are. It didn't say standards. It says preferences. Okay? And your preferences should be realistically based on what you bring to the table on a physical level. You know, if you're overweight, then you know what? Chances are you need to target a guy that's packing on a few extra pounds, has got dad bod, or whatever you want to call it. Okay? I mean, I've seen these YouTube videos where they go to these clubs or bars, whatever, and they got these women. They interview a lot of women. What are you looking for? They get these fat chicks on there that are dressed like they are the fucking sex. They're dressing like they're the sexiest thing alive. Showing all that fat arms, their fucking booty shorts, tight skirts, fucking cankles coming out of their fucking high heels. All this fucking makeup and hair extensions. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, do they think the average guy who has his shit together wants to fucking roll in bed and have babies with a fucking Shamu? With a fucking whale? No. But if you ask these women what they're looking for, I want a tall guy that's fit. I want Shamar Moore, you know, the guy from SWAT that used to be on Young and the Restless years ago. I want a fine brother. Man. Talk about Delulu. You know, and it's like, no, they don't ever challenge these women on this shit. It's like, you go, girl. You deserve. I've seen these women like who are fat and they make these videos and they go around. We got curves and you should be happy the way you are. And you know what? You deserve love. You deserve the best. And you shouldn't be compelled to change who you are. Be real. Keep it real. You go, girl. And I'm like, no. I mean, if you got preferences for a guy that's like up there, shouldn't you be up there fucking too? And when I say up there, I don't mean up there on a scale, all right, like 250, 300, all right? I'm talking about up there on a scale of 1 to 10, not how much you fucking weigh, okay? You need to be up there. You need to just like Kevin Samuels told these brothers what they needed to do in working themselves, your fat ass needs to go to the fucking gym too. These fucking fat, overweight women, you need to go to the gym too. You need to watch what you fucking eat if you want to meet an attractive, higher quality man. But they don't want to hear it. They just think, you know what? Only thing wrong is they're just not reading. It's like they haven't encountered the right guy. But even the ones who are attractive, who are sexy, who don't have kids, all right, don't have the baggage necessarily that other women have who've been ran through, have kids, whatever. Their arrogance among these women is just limitless. They just think that, you know what, they just bring themselves and that, you know what, the abundance should come to them. And they don't even care to consider what these men want. And it's not even talking about the average guy. It's like, everything is about gimme, me, I want, I deserve, blah, 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 blah. And it's nothing about what they can do for the man, how they can enhance him. These women all the time say, oh, I can make, we team up and we go on this journey together. I can help you become a millionaire. And I heard one guy say, yeah. I said, the only men that you can help become a millionaire are billionaires. Think about that for a second. The only men that a woman can help become a millionaire is a billionaire. Meaning that once she get married to his ass and divorces him and takes him to the fucking cleaners, spends his money and gets awarded half his shit from the courts, that's how a billionaire becomes a millionaire from a woman. And that's just fucking true. All right? Because, it's like this. I don't understand this tag team, like partnership. Oh, we can build together. Women, they want the finished product. They don't care how grueling the race is and what this guy had to go through to win the race, to prepare for the race and to, go through it and win it. They just want to fuck the winner at the finish line. That's all these women want to do. They don't care about any of that. They just want to see the finished product. They want to fuck them and they want that ring. And they want to enjoy the perks that come with his success. They don't want to build it with him. That's too much work. And think about it, a woman who has to help a guy become, that's not the kind of man that most women want. They want the guy that's already established, that's already successful, that already has his shit. Well, you know what? That shit don't come fucking free, ladies. All right? And these men ain't stupid. They didn't get their way to be where they are by being stupid. Okay? Yeah. They want something in return. You don't get to sit there and ask for the world from a guy and then realistically expect that, you know what, he shouldn't want anything in return. He should be grateful to give it to you. The single moms, you think that, logically, as a man, you think, you know what, these women have made bad decisions. They fucked up. You know, they got pregnant by the wrong man, the wrong men often. And it's like they're doing it by themselves. They're struggling. And you know what? There's a bunch of fucking YouTube videos of these single moms that are crying. It's so fucking hard. I've got no time. You know, it's just, you know, it's all about me being a mom, and I got to take care of these kids. And you know what? It's just exhausting. I got nobody to help me. You know, I just like to be able to have a girl day. You know, I just didn't have to worry about the kids, but I can't. And I'm like, cry me a fucking river, bitch. You weren't thinking about all that shit when you were fucking laying back, going to the club, going to the bar, hooking up with fucking Chad, laying back and let that motherfucker pipe fuck you. Run that fucking man meat deep up inside you. Fucking made you scream like the bitch whore you are. You wouldn't worry about it. And that's it. While the other guys, while most men, you know, while many of them are decent, good guys who would treat you good, provide you with a decent lifestyle, those men were fucking invisible to you, ladies. You didn't give a fuck about these motherfuckers. You just wanted to feel good. You wanted that vibe. You wanted to come. Well, guess what? Like when you go and get drunk, yeah, you may get hot, you may get a buzz and it feels good. But when you get drunk and that buzz wears off and you wake up next morning with a fucking headache, you know, with that purple face, you know, oh God, the hangover. Well, that's what being a single mom is a hangover that you brought on your fucking self. And so if you ever were to encounter, and I would think if these women who were to encounter a good guy who was willing to look past the fact that you have baggage, and that's what your kids are. They're baggage to him. They're a liability. Again, they're an asset to the single mom because they're her kids. But to him, they're a liability because those kids will never be his. He'll be financially responsible for them if he gets involved and marries her. But they'll never be his. It's like, you know, you can lease a car, but then eventually whenever the owner, the car dealership wants to take it back, they take it back. It'll never be yours. You spend all that money on it. And then whenever she decides that she's done with them, which from a statistical standpoint, a significant percentage of these marriages end in divorce and the women leave. And those kids, they're not part of your life anymore. And a lot of times these women wait until the kids get older, they're in college, and then they leave the guy. They used him. He simp, took on that role, and then they's like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it anymore. They divorce him. Hot girl summer. And they go to Jamaica and they get ran through. That's what these women do. You know, and I mean, it's mind-boggling. You would think that a woman who made these mistakes when it came to the type of motherfuckers that she let run up in her, breed her, and then abandon her, and they cry on these videos, you know, about how tough it is. You think a woman if she were to encounter a good guy willing to basically play Captain Save-A-Ho and bail her the fuck out, that these women would be grateful. That they would be like, oh, wow, I got lucky here. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I keep this motherfucker. I'm going to make sure he's fed. I'm going to make sure he's fucked. All right? Like, fucked in a good way. All right? Not fucked over, but, you know, you get the point. You know, that he's happy. I'm peaceful to him. And I'm going to make sure those fucking kids of mine are going to make sure that, you know, they may not like him in the beginning, but they're going to respect him. And they're going to show appreciation for him. Because that's all a man really wants, is to be appreciated. Okay? These guys that come in and take on the role, likely, you know, obviously they're not Chad. Definitely not Chad with a bag, but they're decent guys that, aren't able to attract a single woman with no kids to marry and start his own family with. Because, like I said, a lot of these women, most of them, are not attracted to guys like these. So this guy comes across a single mom, may have some sex appeal or whatever, but, even though she's gained a few pounds or whatever, but you know what? She, acted like in the beginning, that she's available, that she's interested, but he's not her type. But at the same time, she wants something from him, and that's stability. But at the same time, these women are not going to let that guy know what a great guy he is and how much they appreciate him. Because if they do that, then they're afraid that he's going to have leverage on her. That this guy that mostly women don't want to be with, because if they did, then he wouldn't be giving her time of day. So she wants to feel better by herself by not giving him any leverage. She wants him to think that she's doing him a favor. That's how these women fucking think. That she's doing him a favor by allowing him to come into her life and take care of her and the kids. And that he should be thankful to her. And not only do these women say that, they got women online that are advising these women to feel this way. That, that I've seen these videos where these women are like, oh, you got these guys on there tell these women they should be grateful. Fuck that. He should be grateful. Don't give him that power, girl. And I'm like, in what universe is that even rational? And Kevin Samuels would bring this up over and over again, these women. And they simply didn't want to hear it. They were combative, argumentative, delusional, in denial, and, like I said, and emotional. And refusing to acknowledge facts. And we're talking total night and day. These black men were willing to listen to him and make changes in their life because they were hungry. They were humble. Okay? But these black women that were calling on the show, arrogant. All thought they were 10s. He would ask them, rate yourself. And they all thought 9s or 10s. That they were just the baddest of the baddies. Entitled, deserving. And it's just like, this always had this befuddled look on his face. Which is, shouldn't be surprising. Because it was the same record being played over and over again from these women. But you would think that these women would call into his show and they would ask for his advice, and then it's like, they didn't want to hear it. Whereas the men were. Big contrast. And guess what? A lot of white women today are the same way. On steroids. And I wish he could have been around now to just have white women go on the show and them come at him like that, and then him tell them what he told these black women, and then of course see how they fucking respond. Because this guy, his medicine is good for any female, just like it would be for any man. But his thing was he wanted to help the black community and reverse these numbers. Because, kids who are born to 2-parent homes are less likely to fuck up, go to jail. I mean, like, you look at the prisons, and 90% of inmates come from single female homes. 90%. Well, I think it was like 91%. Maybe like 91 or 92, but yeah, let's say 90. That's 9 out of every 10 offenders come from single parent homes. Now, does that mean that, if you come from a 2-parent home, everything's going to be hunky-dory? No. But in general, from a probability standpoint, you're likely to have advantages that kids from single-parent homes don't come from. Now, of course, you hear these black women get on the show. LeBron James came from a single mom home. He turned out all right. I mean, like clockwork, and so predictable, it's always the outlier that women bring up. Most women bring up. It's always the exception to the rule. You know, I mean, the other day I was having a conversation at the dog park with my dog, with a guy I know we were talking about, what's going on with the war over in the Middle East. And, we were talking about the protests going on. And it's like, I said, I think the protests from the people like with the Free Palestine people would be more effective if when they had the signs that said Free Palestine, next to it or underneath it should also say Free the Israeli hostages, Free the October 7th hostages. I think that would be a much more effective and fair message that would get more sympathy from a variety of different people if you only said Free Palestine. But Free Palestine, Free the hostages, I think that would be more effective. And this guy was like, no, this has been going on a long time. All this genocide with the Israelis, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this is not a fair world, okay? We're talking about those in power, and there's a lot of sympathies for with the power structure in the economic community for what the Israelis have done after October 7th. And yeah, and he kept bringing, the kids, they're starving. I'm like, hey, it wasn't just Hamas that allowed October 7th to happen. They trained for like almost 2 years for October 7th. There were plenty of regular Palestinian people that saw what was happening with the training, and not one of them went over and told. Okay? If I was Palestinian, now sure, I'm not going to openly go tell. Okay, I don't want to commit suicide that way, but what you do is you find a covert way. It'd be like, what? If these guys, you think like, man, if these guys go over and do that, the wrath. Well, I'm not religious, but the wrath of God is going to be rained upon us because the Israelis have all the weapons over there. Okay, yeah, they got these fucking rocket launchers and all that, but not compared to the Israeli military. And look what they've done to Gaza. Fucking, put them back into the fucking Stone Age. And I brought up the simple point of like, man, if a couple of these Palestinians, got together and be like, you know what? I don't want to see Hamas invade these motherfuckers because they're going to rain hell on our people, which is what happened. And here's what this guy said. He's like a 73-year-old gay guy who, I've known him for, a number of years. Take my dog to the dog park. And he's like a contrarian. All the time, just contrarian this. You tell him the sky's blue. Nope, that's just a mirage. The sun's yellow. Nope. And it's like, I mean, just everything's an argument with, take the contrarian view. And his response was, how's a 5-year-old going to go let the other side know what time, that this is happening? And I'm like, dude, I never seen anything about a fucking 5-year-old doing it. Okay? There's plenty of adults with families that could have been like, you know what? This ain't a smart idea. They could have given a heads up to the Israelis before any of this happened. All right? Because people knew over there. All right? So, yeah. It ain't just Hamas. I think the Palestinian people also share some blame themselves. The ones that knew that this was going to happen, because the ones who knew need to look in the mirror when it comes to accepting responsibility for this invasion that happened, because they could have prevented it. Now, is it fair that they were in a position to be forced to make that kind of decision? Of course it wasn't fair. All right? But you know what? In life, if you're going to survive, all right, you have to make smart decisions. Now, emotionally, yeah, I'm sure that they're like, they understood why the Hamas people were doing it. They didn't like the blockade. They didn't like, their plight in life. I get that. But you can't think with your emotions. You have to be practical. And yeah, it sucks, some of the economic conditions the Palestinians are facing. But let me tell you something. Which is better for them now? All right? What's happening to them now or what's happened to them pre-October 7th? And that's the same comparison I want to make with women and the decisions they make on who they allow to run through them versus the decision they make to not even consider certain guys because they don't make them tingle. I'm not feeling the vibe. Go on YouTube and look at the number of videos from women that post like, man, this guy was good on paper. I just wasn't feeling it. That right there gives some strong justification for arranged marriages. Because let me tell you something. Mothers, they want their daughters to marry a guy that can provide for them, protect them, be a good father to their children. Grandparents want kids. They want grandkids. Okay? They want grandkids that are thriving. But daughters want to have fun. Like Cyndi Lauper said, girls just want to have fun. And that song came out like in 85. Oh, man. Women from that generation really took that song to fucking heart. They all want to have fun. Well, just like drinking excessively will pay a price for you, well, making decisions, life-altering decisions based on I want to have fun. I want to have an orgasm. All right? I want to feel like I'm being dominated by a real man in bed because it'll make me come really good. And I'll have this hot guy, and my friends will be impressed by having this guy. And they'll be jealous of me. Because a lot of these women, Leah, they think about what their friends are going to think about having a guy. Because another big difference between men and women. When a man, like every woman I ever dated before I gave up dating, I never, not once thought about what my family or my friends would ever think about her. You know what I thought about? If she would make me happy, would I enjoy being with her? Did I find her attractive? I didn't give a fuck what anybody else thought. And a lot of guys are the same way. They just want to be happy. But the average woman, what does she think about when she first encounters a guy? All right? What are my family and friends going to think about this guy? What kind of car does he drive? What kind of job does he have? Okay? Does he look good? They're going to think about all this shit. That's what these women think about when they think about, and also, do they want to have fun? Okay? Whereas a guy thinks about, I just want to, enjoy this person. But also, they want to think about when it comes to marrying, okay? Which I was never at that point about the marriage point, okay? But, and that's, like I said, it's okay to think about the fun thing when you're having fun, okay? But even during that time, I made sure that I never knocked up anybody. Because you know what? I enjoyed being with the girlfriends I had sexually, obviously, until things got sour. But then I ended it just like that. So I never really argued with a lot of females. I think the longest I ever had conflict with was that last girlfriend. The last month we were together was just torturous because of the football season started. But the almost year we were together before that, everything was great. Both inside and outside the bedroom. But, I made sure that I never got any of these women pregnant. Because having fun is one thing, but having a kid with somebody that is not going to be your lifelong partner, that's something entirely different. And so I think that women, when you're thinking about having fun, yeah, fine. But don't get knocked up by these guys. Okay? And be aware of your biological clock. And a lot of them, they just either get knocked up early by the wrong guy or they wait till too late in life to have a family with the right guy. or a guy that they're into. Because if the guy that they're into don't want to have a family with them, then they'll settle for the guy that they're not into and have kids with him, and then they'll end up divorcing him. And it's just what a sad way to go about life. And I think that better decisions can be made. And also for the men out there. All right, I'm going to say this: quit fucking simping. A lot of men out there who are like non-chads, not rich, which most men aren't rich, like I said. Most men ain't Chad, most men ain't rich. These guys are so desperate. They're simping. They're spending all kinds of money on a first date with a woman. And these women are just looking at you like you're a dinner date. They're looking at you, they literally in their cell phone contacts, next to your name, when your number pops up on their phone, it'll have your name -- meet, dinner. You, or like you -- weekend fun. Like going on excursion. What? I mean, that's what you .. shopping. That's what they have on their phones. You're just a fucking, a meal ticket, a shopping excursion, a weekend together for them. That's all they are to you. They'll just use you to have a good time when they're not with that high value guy. You're like an in-between for them. You're like a distraction. All right, I don't have plans for Tuesday night. This guy wants to take me out. Fine. I'll go have dinner with them. And these women are very skilled at coming up with excuses at the end of the day, not go home with you. They got all kinds of good lines to like soften the blow of letting you off easy. Because they want to be able to, use you again when that time comes. That's what they do. But the thing is, like, if more men would just quit simping, then the men would be better off happy, which is what I did. I, in my 20s, for most of my 20s, and I said this before, I struggled dating. And then in my late 20s, I came up with an angle to be able to meet women, that were above my league when it came out of my league when it comes to looks, because I had an angle. But it was exhausting to just search. I was somebody, finally get somebody, and then that would play out, and then I have to find something. I go again, look, add, place an ad, respond, email, message. Just exhausting. And then, and a lot of these relationships lasted because the sex was amazing. They liked the angle I brought to the table. I said this for lady on the street, freak between the sheets. And I made them feel comfortable and safe for them to be able to have fun that way without being judgmental. But the problem was just outside the bedroom, it's not really good connection. And I had to basically, just, listen to some emotional bullshit, and just simp. Not economically. I was never that kind of guy. Okay? I never spent a lot of money on these females. But just giving up things I like to do in order to not ruffle any boats when it comes to like what she wanted to do. She wanted to talk about just talk about bullshit. That's basically emotionally dump on you. And then I would try to offer a solution, and then they go, I didn't ask for your advice. I just wanted you to listen. See, men, if we hear something going on, okay, tell me what's wrong, what's bothering you. We want to solve it. But instead, they want to dump on us, and it's like, damn, I feel bad. I mean, I'm in a bad mood now. I'm sour because you told me all this shit, and it's like, I just got to sit with it. I just got to be a sounding board. And it's like, fuck that. That's one thing I don't fucking miss. I gave up, like you guys know, I gave up dating in October of 2007, and I don't miss that emotional dumping. Okay, I don't miss like, oh my God, man. All right, what's wrong, baby? I don't miss that shit. I don't miss having to justify watching football. I don't miss any of that. I miss the sex, obviously, with the women that I was on the same page with. I miss, cuddling. I like that. I like being able to provide that. I'm a 6'2" guy. Obviously, I'm not weak. I like being able to provide that. A lot of times, that purring sensation that they would have after you had some really good sex, and you smack their ass, and you talk dirty to them, and they had that good orgasm, and then you lay down, relax, and cuddle. That was nice. But to get that, it's just, everything else is so exhausting. It's mostly draining to just be able to get that point where you can have that kind of sex with somebody. I don't miss that at all. And that's why I decided, basically, they didn't call it that, but I went my own way. MGTOW. Men going their own way. That's what they call it. Look it up on YouTube. And I don't have any regrets. And guess what? More and more men are deciding to do that. And that's what you do when you decide to quit fucking simping. And Morgan Stanley, which I wish would get more press, but I guess they shut it down. The media didn't want to talk about it. But they made a projection to their investors, like, among other different projections. But this one came out because, they want their people that they're advising on investing. They do trends, analysis about, different predictions on stuff in the future. And the one prediction pertaining to this is by 2030, 42% of women age 40 and over will be single and childless. Women. They say black women. Now that's not just single and childless. That means by the time you're 42, you don't have any kids. You're not going to have any more kids after 40. You're not going to have any kids after 42. That means once you're 40, no kids. That's 42% age 40 and over. Very few of those women are going to have kids. Okay? Single and childless. That's an incredible stat right there. That's from 40 over. All those women who are over that age don't have kids, are single. And from an economic standpoint, that's going to have some huge ramifications on the economy. Okay, these marriage planners, flowers, bars, restaurants, the babysitters, children's clothing, all kinds of stuff that cater to families. A lot of those businesses are going to go out of businesses. And so what they're saying is you need to invest now in businesses and opportunities and services that are going to be geared towards single people, single women with no kids. They make money. If they're not spending it on kids, their own kids, they're going to be spending it on themselves. And the money that these investors have, they need to start going towards those things. Now, when they make projections, they don't make the most optimistic projection, because if they say, like, for instance, like when they make earnings analysis for like what Apple's going to make the next quarter, right? If they overshoot the moon, say that it's going to be more than expected, the stock's going to go down. Their investors are going to lose money. But if they, say it's this and they end up making more, Apple beats the projections, then the stock goes up. Okay? So the kicker is to like make it where it be close enough where it's going to be like, like make it go under it, obviously, where it gives you some breathing room, but don't be too low where you just totally miss it. But be low enough where, it's like, okay, but then when it goes over, which is likely because they undersell it a lot. A lot of these stats are undersold. Then they're going to come out looking good, and their investors are going to make a lot of money. So I wouldn't be surprised if by 2030, that stat, instead of 42%, is somewhere between 45 and 50%, if not more. It's not going to be below 42%. That's just, no, it's just not going to happen that way. We're not heading that way. Something drastic among the mindset of women today would have to fucking change. And you know what? That curve started 40 years ago. It's steady going up. Okay? The marriage rates are declining. That shit's been going on for a long time. The childbirth rate, children per couple, is going down. And as these women get more and more opportunities to make money and be independent and self-reliant, because with technology, it makes men and women opportunity to be self-reliant. You know, I got a washer and dryer. When they got these foods at the store, Uber Eats, apps to deliver everything. Guys can easily shop for themselves now, just like women can. We can easily clean our own homes. A lot of things were automated. And that's why I tell guys, you don't need a woman, fellas. Women are clearly, more and more women are deciding they don't need a man. Fellas, we can decide the same thing. We would like to have a woman, but only a woman that brings some peace in our life. Because, I think women need to understand this. Ladies, listen here. This is going to be the best piece of advice anybody can ever give you when it comes to, like, dating and like, possible marriage. It ain't that hard to please the average guy. Now, I'm not talking about Chad. Okay? The Chads, they're a different level. Okay? They know most women want them. Okay? And it's like, when you know you're desired, it's kind of hard to be faithful. It just is. But if you're looking for a decent man, and there are like decent looking men out there that take care of themselves, that make decent money. But you got to be able to look past like their flaws. Maybe he's not tall enough, or he's not the most funny guy. Or, obviously they don't have the sex appeal, or they'd be a Chad, right? But he's not exciting. But the guy is good on paper. He takes care of business. He's financially sound. He got good credit. He wants to be faithful to you. He wants to have a family. He wants to like build a life. That guy right there ain't hard to please. If you feed him, if you got a good meal to come home to, if you give him good sex, and if you're peaceful, that's all most men want, is that. If you provide that, that motherfucker will do what single moms don't. That motherfucker will bend over backwards to make you fucking happy. He'd be like, God damn, I got great sex, I eat good, she's peaceful to come home to. I'm gonna make sure I don't fuck this up. So he'll listen to you. Alright? Within reason. Don't be like an emotional dumping baggage every day. I mean, some ladies, some things you're just gonna have to solve yourself, okay? There's a few things you can figure out on your own. You don't need a man to just emotionally dump on every day. But we understand that, you know what? Sometimes you need to talk to us. Yeah, and if you're going to come to us with some stuff, give us a chance to like try to help you solve it. Okay, because if it was something you could have solved, you wouldn't need to emotionally dump on somebody. All right? So yeah, we understand that's part of what's make women appealing sexual. It's you guys are emotional. You're not robots. Okay? But you don't have to take it to the extreme. But if you show men you appreciate them, that guy will bend over backwards to protect you, make you happy, lick your pussy. Okay? Chad's not going to lick your pussy. Regular men know that they have to do certain things in bed. And some of these guys don't, or not that experienced, because a lot of guys really don't know how to please a woman in bed. Because most of these guys most men are not having lots of sex. You think that most men are, Because the guys you're with, they know how to do it. They know how to fucking hit those buttons because they're fucking a lot of women. 4.5% of men are literally fucking 35-40% of women out there. So they've been with a variety of different women. They know what women want in bed. Problem is, they don't want to be faithful to you. They don't want to commit to you. They just want to run through you. All right? But so if you meet a guy that's a good guy, but, you know, he's maybe not the most exciting in bed, how about you have that conversation with them? You know, and say, hey, honey, you know, I love you. I appreciate what you do for me. But I was wondering if you can we can have a talk about this. Because there's some things I wouldn't mind that would make me happy. And it's not like it's not like I hate you or whatever. It's just, you know, we're all about communicating. I mean, can we work on this? And I think most guys will be receptive to this if you came at them right. Because, yeah, you know, when it comes to sex, you hear guys all day, like, you know, we just like, okay, I'm talking about the ones that really care about you. I'm not talking about the selfish ones, okay? I'm talking about the ones that, and there are guys out there that would be open, you know, but at the same time, we're sensitive. You know, we're like, you know, we're man. It'd be like, you know, we make our partner, you know, come. All right? Like guys even ask. And of course, you guys all have to lie and fake it because you don't want to, like, you know, make us feel bad. But you know what? In relationships, you have to have those tough conversations sometimes. Now, how you go about it, sure, is important. But you can't be all about, oh, we got to be the ones that open up to you. We got to be the ones that, you know, make ourselves vulnerable. We got to be the ones that do all the effort. But you guys expect us to be fucking mind readers. You know, and we're not. You fucking vilify us for it. You got to do some work too, ladies. All right? You got to open up to us. You got to let us know things. It ain't all about what we got to do. You have some fucking responsibility too. If you want happiness in life, all right? And if, of course, you got to go about it in a fair way, but you have to put some effort into it. You know, and so, yeah, if you start giving decent guys a chance, I think you'll find that, you know what, you'll have a happier life together. But the sad thing is, and that's why I think this Morgan Stanley thing is, you know, dead on. You ladies don't care about any of that. You want the top guy. You want that fucking LD, that long dick, that man meat to fucking make those walls spread like the Red fucking Sea. Okay? You want those ears pinned behind your back. You want that ass smack. You want a guy to hold your neck, pull your hair back, turn your head to the side and go, yeah, bitch, take that bitch, you fucking dirty slut. Smack her on the ass. Oh! I had a girl that loved that shit, man. She loved it. I had my script and everything. I'd fucking flex. I got the voice real deep. And, you know, she always told me that I could always do like some kind of like, you know, phone sex operator. That's what she told me. She said, you'd be good with the phone sex thing, man. You know, you can have that voice. But I'll admit, though, you know, there were some women that ended up doing some, like, you know, I had some girlfriends, like if I was out of town playing a poker tournament somewhere, we would have like phone sex. And I could do it real good. She'd get off, man. I'd like get her off. And then, anyway, not to talk dirty, but point I'm trying to make is, you know, but there's more to it than just having that guy that can do that. Okay? I mean, I think with a decent guy, you can kind of coach him a little bit. And I know women, you don't want to do that. You want a guy just to know what you want, know what buttons to push. But you know what? We're not super guys. We're not Supermen. You know, you guys like to, you know, if a guy's not Superman, you vilify him. You tear him down. You dog him. And yet, you want us to accept your imperfections. You want us to accept the fact that you're not a gorgeous supermodel. But let me ask you this. Are you willing to accept a man that's not a Superman? That a man that's not a high value guy? A man that's not a Chad with a bag? And if you look at the numbers say that no. You ladies don't want to accept that. Because that's settling. I said this in a previous video, and I got to probably wrap this up because approaching another 90 minutes on this fucking video. I can't help myself, guys. I got so much stuff going in my mind that I just have to fucking get this shit out. A very prominent female psychologist was on a podcast who's written a number of books on relationships. And she's taken, in her previous book, she's taken a lot of the side of women. But this research she did just blew her away. She was not expecting this. I think it was 5,000, she interviewed 5,000 men and 5,000 women. And she asked them, if you could meet a partner that gave you 80% of what you're looking for in a relationship, would you be happy? And the men that she asked this with, 5,000 guys, was just like, fuck yeah. Sign me up. I'd be ecstatic if I could be in a woman that gave me 80% what I'm looking for from a partner. I would be one of those 5,000. She asked 5,000 women. Same question. If you can meet a partner, a guy that can give you 80% what you're looking for, would you be happy? And overwhelmingly, fuck no. That's settling. That right there is an illustration of, can be compared to Kevin Samuels taking calls from black men and how receptive they were to his advice versus the black women that called into his show and how receptive they were to his advice. The black men, thank you. They absorbed the constructive criticism. The black women, combative, argumentative. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Totally disinterested. Had no desire to accept what he had to say. No desire to be accountable. And guess what? Any of these women now, I'd like to hear if they ever met a high value man. Hell, I'd like to even know if any of them are happily married to a regular guy. If they were willing to settle for a regular guy. And so that's the difference, just like this fucking survey. And that right there is just, how do you get past that? How can you overcome that? If a woman's not even willing to, if most women aren't willing to accept 80%, they want Superman. Look at Tom Brady. It's not just regular people, even the high value man, Tom Brady. Early 40s, he's still good looking, in good shape, famous, accomplished, Hall of Fame. Men look up to him. Men would love to be Tom Brady. Other women want Tom Brady. Okay? He's got good kids. If he'd been unfaithful, it would come out that he was unfaithful. Okay? But that wasn't enough for his ex-wife, Gisele. You know why? Because he wanted to play another year of football. He left New England. He played another year with Tampa Bay. He left New England. They won a Super Bowl, and he played another year. She didn't like that. How dare he? And I'll be willing to bet that her girlfriends who weren't married were so toxic, gave her fucking bad advice. Fuck him. Who's that motherfucker think he is? He don't love you. He don't want to be around you. That's why he wants to keep playing football, put his life at risk. He's probably fucking a cheerleader. He's probably got a side bitch in every fucking city that they play in. Whereas she should have been surrounding herself by married women who are happy with their husbands. Because they would have told her, you married a high value guy that was driven. Tom Brady was driven to be the best. That motherfucker was drafted in the 6th round, was number 6 on the depth chart. And yet he had the courage to go up to the owner of his football team, said when he was in training camp as a rookie, introduce himself, saying, you know what? I'm Tom Brady. He goes, I know you are. You're our 6th round draft pick. I just want to let you know that you drafting me was the best decision this franchise ever made. Talk about fucking balls. Talk about fucking confidence. And the owner of the Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, is, I remember seeing an interview and he's like, this motherfucker really thinks, good luck with that. And he turned out to prophesize that shit to the T. They won 6 Super Bowls. 6. I mean, the best quarterback of all time. All the records. He's a winner. And first ballot Hall of Fame. And this year, he took off this past year. This year, he's going to start a 10-year, $400 million contract to broadcast games for Fox. And he'll probably end up earning way more money after football than he did playing football, because you can announce. And once you're skilled at that, and the audience gets used to you and they love you, and they will respect what he says, because he'll know what he's talking about. He won fucking Super Bowls at quarterback. Tony Romo didn't win any for the Cowboys, and I'm a Dallas fan. And he is very popular on CBS because he can articulate. He knows what's going to happen, and the fans like watching him. And CBS just gave him another big contract. But Tom Brady is he's dwarfing what Romo's making. Romo, maybe he's lucky making $20 million a year. Brady's doing that, and this is his first year doing it. And so he's not going to be one of these football players that fade from glory, that blew his money. No, Brady's going to have a great post-career. He's making an endorsement. Point I'm trying to make is, all right, and I'm not even a Patriots fan, all right, but I recognize game. I recognize talent. And he taking care of himself, business-minded, very smart. Men admire him, and other women want to be with him. And yet, it wasn't enough for her. Now, Beyonce, on the other hand, found out her husband, Jay-Z, cheated on her. No, she didn't like it. Probably felt embarrassed. Probably had female friends tell her, dump that motherfucker, take half his shit. But she is smart. She recognized, she didn't like it. But can she do better than him? And apparently, her married female friends gave her some good advice. Say what you want about Bill and Hillary Clinton, but she stayed with him. Okay? They worked it out. Hillary, no. Can she do better than Bill? Can she marry a guy that will mentally stimulate her the way Bill does? Can Beyonce marry a man that's with their brand, that can add to her? No. She's older. Okay? She's smart. She recognizes that. And I'm not saying she has to like it, but you know what? Like it or not, fair and unfair, high-value men, and when I say high-value men, good-looking, attractive men who have sex appeal and who have money and who are successful, they are going to attract other women. Those women are throwing themselves at these guys. Now, it's kind of different again, maybe if a guy's chasing, but when women are throwing themselves at these guys, it ain't easy. Now, if I had to bet, probably Tom Brady maybe fucked around, or I don't know. But, if it doesn't matter. Can she do better than Tom Brady at her age? She's in her 40s. And I seriously doubt it. There'll be hot guys that want to fuck her, but they're just trying to use her. They just want to run through her. And then maybe they think they're going to marry her and get her money. But now she may even be able to marry a rich guy that's got money, that's got more money than Brady. But she's never going to be able to. I'll be very, very surprised if she's able to get a high-value man to wife her up. If I'm wrong, you guys can comment and rip me a new one. Okay? But I doubt that's going to happen. Because high-value men don't want a 40-year-old woman with kids. Okay? Who's older, when he can get a younger, hotter one that's going to stay physically fit and sexy and give him kids for way longer than Tom Brady's ex-wife ever be able to. I heard that she's fucking with the Pilates guy who's got, nice build or whatever. Yeah. She can have her hot girl summer and have this guy fuck her, and blow her back away. but she will not husband that motherfucker up because he's got no status. He ain't got the money she's accustomed to having. Now, here's the ironic thing. I think women like her should, with her money and her financial security, she should marry somebody like that, Pilates guy. That guy's going to fuck her good, make her happy, make her give her the attention that she wished she had from Brady because he was playing football. If that's what she needs from a man, to be devoted to her when it comes to his time and effort, and will be like on her program and be accommodating to her, then she needs to marry that fucking hot Pilates guy. And women like her should. But the problem is, for women like her, is they don't want to marry that guy. They want to marry a Chad with a bag. And I think part of the reason why is they don't want to expose themselves economically. Because as they age, and that hot Pilates guy is going to stay hotter for a lot longer than she is. Because she's going to hit menopause and she's not going to lose interest in sex. But she's going to want intimacy, like cuddling and the guy to still love her. Whereas the hot guy, who's a hot Pilates guy, his sexual needs are going to last way longer than hers. And is he going to want to stay faithful to her? Is he going to want to stay married to her long term? No. That's what women like her think. And then that's where she puts herself at risk financially. So, just like high value men, it's almost impossible for a high value man to stay faithful to one woman or stay monogamous to one woman. And like maybe Beyonce's like Hillary decides, you know what, she's going to have to share Bill. As long as Bill was just like, I can understand her getting upset with embarrassment. But Bill Clinton should have been a little bit more careful with his infidelity, especially being in politics and all that. Which I'll say this, and you guys may give me shit. I love President Obama. I thought he was a very good president. I voted for him twice. I felt like he could have done a little bit more. I wish he had not tried to compromise with the Republicans in the beginning of his administration, but that's a separate issue. Still, I'm a big fan. If I had to bet money, I'd bet that he cheated on Michelle. Not because he's a piece of shit or whatever, but I can imagine that there were women in Washington, and even now that he comes up, that would be like, they want to fuck the president. Good-looking black man. I mean, want to bet a bunch of fucking white girls came, who worked for him were kind of like doing what Monica did. Monica Lewinsky gave her Bill Clinton, decided to want to go to the White House. She wanted her presidential knee pads. And when she got the chance to fucking seduce him and make herself available to him, he took it. All right? I'd be one to bet that he's fucked around. Because I bet a number of women threw themselves at him over the years. And it's tough for a guy to say no. And that doesn't make him a bad guy. It makes him human. Most men would love to be able to fuck a lot of attractive women. But most men can't. Most men don't have the option. Most men have to be faithful because they got no choice. And the women who really value monogamy marry a regular guy. Now, of course, when I say that, most women are going to go, I don't want to marry a ugly, broke-ass, fucking fat man. That's not what I said. I've never said that. But women can help themselves. Most women can help themselves. They just, it's like the go-to. It's like the over and under on how fast it takes a woman to go there when it comes to the outlier, to the extreme, whenever you say something she doesn't like. It's just, it's probably faster than the world's fastest computer when it takes her to get that shit out of her mouth. From her thinking about it to getting out of her mouth. Because she can't help herself. Women can't help themselves when it comes to this. But it doesn't mean that they shouldn't learn how to try to combat that. And it would actually be in their best interest to learn how to get past that. That outlier, that fucking extreme example. Because they're missing out on a chance to have a happy marriage with a man that they can grow old with and have a family. See the kids graduate college or high school, graduate college, get married, have grandkids that come over, and then have that porch where in your 70s and your 80s, you get to travel and enjoy your golden years with somebody that you have 30, 40, 50 years together with. Those marriages are going to be far and few between, man. I mean, here now, the people, I think 20 years from now, you're going to have 50 years from now, I don't think you're going to have hardly any people that have been married for 50 fucking years. Unless they're a Chad with a bag. And the women that were married to them accepted the fact that from time to time, these guys are going to have side chicks. This whole automatically, like if a guy is a good guy, and I'll close with this, okay? I read this book years ago called Sex at Dawn, like DAWN, The Prehistoric Origins of Modern Sexuality. And in the beginning of the book, it asks a question. If a man is a good man, he's a good provider, a good father, he loves you, has built a good life with you. You've been together for 25 years. He's in his late 40s. And then all of a sudden, you find out that he's been having a 6-month affair with a young woman in her 20s. Should his wife automatically divorce him? No questions asked. And it explored that. It's like, why do men do this? Who are like that? He just woke up off his, fell off his rocker one morning, fell off his rocker and decided, you know what? I'm going to throw away my marriage. Or is there something biological or whatever in play here? And is it smart for a woman, a wife, to just automatically throw away their marriage or divorce him for that right there, for that sole reason? Because likely that man is a high value man. He gave her good sex, but maybe when she's in her 40s, maybe she needs to take a look at her. You know what? I'm older. Maybe she gained some weight. Maybe her desire to have sex decreased. Okay? And I'm not saying that, that makes her a bad person or there's something wrong with her. No. But older men, women reach an age much younger than men do when they lose their desire to have sex. Now, does that mean that every man, every woman's like that? No. There are some wives that want to have sex longer than their husband do. I understand that, but I'm talking about in general. So a man who has sex with a 20-year-old woman, or a woman in her 20s and he's in his mid-late 40s, it doesn't mean that he doesn't love his wife. He wants to leave her. Okay? It's man, he wants to feel young again. He wants to feel that he's whatever. For whatever reason, I'm just saying this. I'm not saying she has to like it. But if it's just a few month fling or it's just whatever, should you just automatically throw away your history with the guy and your life with him and the opportunity to grow old along with them just because he's being unfaithful? So, yeah. Now, if a guy's a regular guy, regular guys have to actively go out and cheat. Because women don't throw themselves at regular guys. Hot women don't throw themselves at regular guys. So if a guy is in a marriage with somebody, you're with somebody, and he goes out and he has to put a time and effort to actually go out and cheat. It's exhausting to do that. Whenever I broke up with somebody, I didn't have a bunch of women come up to me wanting to automatically go out with me. The next girlfriend I had put some time and effort to get that. And that's the same way when it comes to cheating for most people. For most men, they don't have the option to just all right, I'm here. Who wants to fuck me? Who's the next woman who wants to fuck me? No. Women can do that. Even ugly women can go out there and post an ad within 30 seconds. She's got a guy who wants to come over. Most men can't do that. So if you have a high value man like Beyonce, even Michelle Obama, again, I don't know anything. I'm just saying, if she found out he fucked a white girl, you think she's going to divorce him? No, they got a brand together. All right, they have a life together. I'm not saying she's got to like it. I'm not saying any woman's got to like it. But the higher status man you have, the more likely he's going to have side chicks. It's about, desire, leverage. That's just the way it is. But most men, I think most women can marry most guys, and they won't have to worry about that with him. So you guys, ladies, need to decide your priorities and what you're willing to compromise on to get what you want or what you think you need. And again, I know life ain't fair. Should it be fair? Yeah, but it's never going to be fair. But you have to make the best. Sometimes you got to make the best of a bad decision. I tell those people when it came to voting for Hillary versus Trump, a lot of people on the left were unhappy with Hillary. A lot of Democrats stayed home in 2016. But sometimes you got to make the best of a bad choice. And obviously Trump was a bad choice, particularly for Democrats. So, he may not be enthused with Hillary. And I was telling this to people with Joe Biden. Yeah, people on the left, I know there's a lot of Muslims here that don't exactly like what Joe Biden, didn't force Israel to not invade Gaza. But let me ask the Muslims this. You think fucking Trump's going to fucking do anything for you guys? Took a lot of these Muslims in fucking Michigan. If they stay home and don't vote in because they're mad at Biden and Trump wins Michigan and becomes president again, you think fucking Trump's going to fucking make things better for you guys? If anything, he's going to fucking give Israel more weapons, and he's going to tell Netanyahu, all right, take Gaza. Make that, put condos up. Let Israel take over the beachfront property in Gaza and let them put condos up like Jared Kushner wants to do. Because that's what's going to happen if you motherfuckers stay home in Michigan and these other swing states and let Trump win. I'm not saying you got to like it, but what's the alternative? And that's what I said about the people in the Palestinians in Gaza who didn't tell on Hamas, who just stay silent while Hamas trained. And then on October 7th, when they went and invaded Israel and killed over 1,000 people and raped women and took them hostages, they should have told. They should have fucking went and, because a lot of these Palestinians, they work in Israel. They go work in daytime. They come back at home. Because they got like some kind of crossing between Gaza and Israel, which is closed because ain't no Palestinians working over there now. But the ones who were, they could have told. They could have told an employer. They could have told whatever, like the troops that were stationed there. But nobody did. I'm not saying it's right or fair or they got to like it. But what's the alternative? You got 2 million Palestinians at risk of starving to death because Israel's going to do everything. They've had it. They're like, no more attacks. We're not going to let anybody ever fucking attack us again. So they're going to do everything they can to exterminate Hamas. And if that means that hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and their kids live in Gaza are going to die and starve to death, unfortunate, but we're not going to have another October 7th. And I think that the people in Gaza who aren't terrorists, who saw this shit going on, they should have told. Just like Democrats on the left who were pissed at Hillary because Bernie wasn't their nominee, and they felt like Bernie's got the nomination stolen for him. Again, life is about making tough decisions, even if it's not a decision that you like to make. This will be the last thing I say on this video. Charles Darwin, when he talked about evolution, he said that the species that survive aren't necessarily the smartest, aren't necessarily the fastest, aren't necessarily the strongest, aren't necessarily the fittest. Because people always say, "Oh, the survival of the fittest." No, it's the species that are most able to adapt to change, changing weather, changing conditions, changing economic opportunities, whatever. You have to be able to adapt to change. The dinosaurs dominated for 160 million years. When that asteroid hit 66 million years ago, they didn't have the ability to adapt to change, and they died off just like that. They went from dominating the Earth for 160 million years to being dead in over a relatively short period of time. There's this layer of soot all over the Earth that, and when they've done excavations, that were remnants of the asteroid that hit the Earth, blew all the sediment up in the air, and then it rained like fire and sediment from these rocks and the limestone from the Atlantic Ocean and the Yucatan Peninsula that the asteroid hit, that shot all this shit up into fucking space and it's in the atmosphere surrounding Earth, and it rained down. Below the layer of soot has dinosaur fossils. Above it, not one dinosaur fossil. And this layer of soot is so fucking thin, and it represents a very small period of geological history. But it just shows that they weren't able to adapt. But meanwhile, our ancestors, these small little furry rodent-like ancestors of ours, they were able to go underneath the burrows and the caves, or underground. And when the conditions, they were able to tough it out and survive. And they were to adapt their birthing process. And when they came out after the Earth healed itself, they found, wow, there's no dinosaurs anymore. There's no competition. They were able to come out, and all the mammals you have on Earth, and diversity of life that you have on Earth now among mammals, you didn't have for 160 million years, because the dinosaurs dominated so much that our ancestors had to sleep under the ground during the daytime while the dinosaurs were up. At nighttime, when the dinosaurs were sleeping, our ancestors came out at night, had to slowly creep around to scavenge for food and survive. But they survived, but they weren't able to grow and flourish and get stronger because the conditions didn't allow it. But they were patient, and they eventually survived. And when the time was right, they were able to adapt and move on. And fast forward 66 million years, we're here today. We're dominating the Earth. But compared to the history of the Earth, we've only been here for a fraction of a time. And you know what? For most of civilization, which dates back like the last 10,000 years, because prior to that we were hunters and gatherers, we didn't know how to farm. We had not learned how to domesticate animals yet, farm animals yet. But once we did, then women, like it or not, fair and unfair, they were basically subjected to the will of their husbands, or to men in general. And women did not have access to education, jobs, and careers, so they basically had to pick partners that they got out of the house at a certain age, young age, and they had to marry, and they picked men that could provide and protect. But now, women have access to jobs and educations and their own money. And yet, they haven't adapted. They still make the same decisions on the type of men that they want to marry. Or they don't need, if you're a woman who's a boss baby and you make all kinds of money, do you really need a husband that's making all kinds of money? Because men who are rich, men who became high value men, they don't need a woman that makes all kinds of money, because they have the money. They want her to complement him in a way Like, he's older. She needs her to be fertile, youthful, to have time for him. He don't need a boss babe. He's a boss man. He don't need her to have money. He's got money. He needs her to have things that provide things he doesn't have, which is time, peace in his professional life. At work, it's chaotic. It's competitive. He doesn't have peace. When he comes home, he wants peace. He wants calmness. You know, the thing a lot of you women don't understand, if you used to acknowledge. So those of you who are successful, who are educated, you have your own money, and you consider yourself a boss babe, guess what? Think about realistically what you need from a partner. All right? And I think that, you know what? If you make smart decisions, you start making better decisions, and you adapt. You ladies have to adapt to change. Because if you're not, you're going to end up among those 42% of women. By the time you're 40, you're going to be single and childless. You know, and basically you're forcing guys like me to basically give up. Because I don't hate women. I would have loved to be able to meet somebody to share my life with and had a family with. As exhausting as that would have been, I would have been okay with meeting the right person. But the problem is the type of woman that I wanted to meet who was willing to, I felt like would have been willing to want these things. Those women don't want to marry a man like me because I'm not Chad with a bag. And I'm okay, you know, I made my peace with that. Now, sure, I was able to, like I said before, I was able to meet women who had certain needs, like sexually, that they could get from like some guys. But that was exhausting. And I didn't enjoy the conflict outside of the bedroom because we didn't have much in common because they weren't willing to work with me. And that's why I just decided that either I could simp and just, okay, give up football. That would be a fucking simple thing for a man like me to do, is give up watching football to placate a female who just wants me to spend all my time with her doing shit she wants to do. And nodding my head and just taking it, swallowing my pride and taking it. When I compromise in other areas, but she couldn't compromise with me on this, fuck that. And that's right there. When I think about shit like that, I don't know any kind of slither of hope. Like, man, did I really make the right decision? Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody? I think about those times, and I don't regret what I did 1 minute when I decided to basically go my own way and enjoy living life on easy mode as a single man with no kids and no wife. And if women don't adapt and start changing their dating preferences, standards are good to have, but we're talking about preferences, okay? Then you're basically forcing yourself to be single or to settle for a simp. But the numbers have shown that ladies, you're not happy with a simp. All right? If you was happy with a simp, a guy that did what it takes to make you happy and accept doing what it takes to make you happy, then you wouldn't divorce these fucking guys. You wouldn't be like these romantic comedies wouldn't be so fucking popular. But they are, because they know what these guys can write these fucking bullshit, cheesy romantic comedies, and they know that you women are going to lap that shit up because they know it resonates with you. They know that you bitches yearn for that fucking Chad, that bad boy, to just take you away from your boring life and just bring excitement to your fucking life. When you decide to marry and have kids, you give up the whole excitement thing. Okay? And, I mean, it's just, no. Yeah, you do. Give it up. If you want excitement, if you want great sex, stay single. because most of you are never going to have a Chad with a bag to wife you up. There's only 4.5% of men are Chad. But the Chads with bags are a fraction of that. So yeah, if you want sex, if you want to be ran through, if you want to be one of a harem, be one of a plethora of side chicks that a Chad has, then you know what? By all means, do that. But don't complain when that clock is ticking. In that guy you could have been with goes in a different direction. And don't bitch about how unfair it is that a man in his 30s, even his early 40s, can still procreate and choose to pick a younger woman to procreate with. Whereas you're in your early 30s, mid 30s, even late 30s, hell, 40s, and you're bitching about the fact that, well, I'm ready to get married and have a family. That the right guy should be ready for me too. He should accept me. I'm a good person. I'm accomplished. So fucking what? Life ain't fair. It ain't fair that when a woman's 18 years old and she's hot, that way more doors are open for her than is for an 18-year-old guy. Women who are 18 get flown on yachts. They get shopping sprees by rich guys. Do rich women fucking see 18-year-old guys on Instagram, message them, say, hey, I'm going to fly you out to Beverly Hills. I want to take you to Cancun, young man. Now, I'm sure there may be a few that do, but not nearly on the level that women, 18-year-old women, get fucking afforded that opportunity. No, that 18-year-old guy has to be patient and build himself up. But eventually the tide turns. And it happens to women when they get into their late 20s. Because that wall start creeping. Whereas that guy who put in the time to build himself up and he becomes a high value man, dude, that dude's got the vast, in his 30s, 40s, 50s. He still can be that guy that attracts young women. Okay, because that's, don't blame me. Blame DNA. Blame the earth. Because all these conditions on earth throughout the billions of years that earth has been here, they played a part in evolution into like basically the way we are. Okay? When you ladies are young, you got no problem enjoying the perks of being an attractive young lady. You don't like feel guilty for the fact that men struggle. Men have a journey that they have to fucking struggle and compete to rise up. For everyone that rises up, there's hundreds that have to stay like regular guys. And you don't feel sorry for those regular guys. And yet, when you're in your 30s and your early 40s and you hit that fucking wall, we're supposed to feel sorry for you? Yeah. Fuck that. No. Join the fucking club. Now you know how we fucking feel. Anyway, I hope you guys like what I had to say. If you don't, or if you do, leave me a comment. I mean, I don't mind the Facebook messages, DMs, but, leave a comment in my, on my YouTube page, after the video. And, because I wouldn't mind other people, seeing what you guys have to say and, have a back and forth exchange. So anyway, you guys have a good night, and I'll make another video soon. All right, bye-bye, guys.